54321. Great evening, great evening. Broadcasting live from the Dr. Larry White Senior Show. And I got to tell you, I want to just start off by just giving my VIP guest a shout out for her flexibility. We were supposed to have her on a couple of times and we rescheduled it, but it's important to get her story and tell us a little bit about what she's doing, some amazing things. But I'd first like to start off just by, you know, talking a little bit about the 3 books that I have. The first one, The Ultimate Network and Entrepreneur, it's still out there for sale. It's a great, great read. But it's segued, the Lord put it on my spirit to go into my second book, which has just been released, called Operating in Excellence, Pain, Purpose, and Position. So you can go get that one as well. And then my third book will be launched here very soon. It is with a collaboration of the DMV Mastermind Group, and that one is called Iron Sharpen Irons, Inspired to Achieve, Think, and Grow. So you can go to my website, vipeventsconcierge.com, and purchase all those great books and really just hear some great stories from myself and some other leaders. All right, enough about me. I pray all is well with you and your families during this COVID-19 pandemic that's kind of got lost in the sauce, if you will, during the recent murder of Mr. Floyd. And so it's tough times. I think my VIP guest tonight, she's going to talk a little bit about a lot of these great things, a lot of these things that are happening, but how she can still be great and do some great things. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Kenyatta G. Powers to the show. Welcome, my sister.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it.
I got to tell you, it was so refreshing seeing you and your fiance the other day. Y'all blessed me. Becky and I were just like, man, they look so great headed down. We've been around the world and eye together. Kenyatta, we were able to recognize you some years back as our information technology person of the year in Newark, Delaware. So tell us, Kenyatta Powers, for those who may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about who you are personally and professionally.
All right, so I say get started personally. I'm engaged to be married in a couple of months. So excited about that. It's a little trying times right now in the midst of the pandemic, and some of our plans may not go as scheduled, but we are still planning to move forward with the August wedding. I am a mother of one. He is 26 and graduating with a cybersecurity degree, so we're super excited about that. And I am currently right now employed by the state of Maryland as the Department of Human Services Chief Information Officer. As the Chief Information Officer, I'm responsible for the department, being responsible for the information systems for all of the social service offices across the state. So that's around 7,000 employees and 7,000 users across over 100 different locations. And there are about 300 to 400 IT staff that support those users. So right now, of course, we're in the midst of the pandemic, and IT is pretty much the top of everyone's list in the midst of the pandemic, with everyone needing to telework. So it has been a challenge because we did not have teleworking capabilities for all 7,000 users. However, we do now. We do now. We had to order laptops and get everyone situated. We have caseworkers and social workers that have to see clients and still have to support our vulnerable citizens. Department of Human Services for BACASEC is the agency that provides TANF and SNAP and EBT services and child protective services, adult protective services, foster care to our citizens of Maryland, so, and child support. And so we are still, it is one of the agencies that has also been extremely busy during the pandemic, as the benefits and the applications for benefits has increased significantly since the pandemic. But the agency is providing additional benefits. We have the PEBT, we're also doing, which provides additional EBT services, benefits, also online purchasing. So there are a lot of different things that even within the last 2 or 3 months that we have implemented to better serve the community. So that definitely has kept the IT department very, very busy. But it's been a blessing, and we're knowing the community that we serve, and that it is definitely well needed right now, especially during the pandemic.
Absolutely. Listen. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
That was a lot. When you talked about, the the EBT services and child support, all the services that you provide. Having met you some years ago when you were the deputy CIO, take us back. How did you get started into IT, information technology? How did you get started? And maybe if I can just take you back from Virginia to come into Maryland, how did you get started into the game of IT?
Well, I majored in IT in college. Although I did not finish college, I did major. But once I stopped going, I went into a whole different direction that had nothing to do with technology. And I was actually there for a few years, and I liked what I was doing, and I was comfortable. But I got laid off from that job. And at the time, you think it's the worst thing that ever happened to you. However, it allowed me to reshift and rethink the things that I was doing. And even though I definitely had some technology under my belt, I decided to go to take some boot camp classes. So took boot camp, I loved it, got a few certifications, and boy, I tell you, I went on interview after interview because once I got laid off, that wasn't the first thing that I had tried to do. So it kind of like get yourself together type of a moment to go into the field in which you know you're most comfortable with. So I went on so many interviews, it was ridiculous, but I found out I finally landed the job at the state of Maryland. And I started as a junior network engineer. And I was totally clueless. It was my first IT job. I didn't have any experience. And what I learned from certifications and some online stuff, reading that we did back in the day. But I wasn't as knowledgeable going in, but I was that type of person that wanted to learn. And as I got in, and we came in at the 1997, around the Y2K, 98, around the Y2K era. And when everybody was thinking that all the computers was just going to go haywire from 99 to 2000. So they hired us to come in to upgrade the computer systems. So, but it started as that junior engineer, and it was a contract position, and contract was renewed for about 3 years. And I finally decided to become a state employee. And so when I became that, that position was open and I became a state employee, it was just kind of moving on from there, from a supervisor to assistant director to director to deputy CIO to CIO today. So it has definitely been a blessing. God is good. And I'll go back a second, is that I had not, the position that I applied for, I wasn't not even close to being qualified for. It required a degree and it required experience, which I had neither. So I was a little even reluctant to even apply for it. But thank God that I did. And it just goes to show nowadays to apply for things that you didn't think you were qualified for. You just never know what may happen. We don't, especially as women in IT, we don't usually try to strive for things that if one box is not checked, then we'll just decide not to apply for that position. But I encourage everyone to definitely apply for that position, because you just never know.
Well, I got to tell you, I kind of caught you towards the tail end of your leadership, meaning you were, the deputy CIO. And I got to tell you, I have come to the agency with about 25 years of IT experience from the Navy. And I had never seen an African-American female that was in leadership in the IT department. So talk to us, Kenyatta, about what have been some difficulties that you've had to, and from a technology standpoint, like we know that technology is always cutting edge. Was good, like when you and I were working together, was the Blackberries and the MDMs were coming in and AirWatch. How have you been able to move the agency forward into updated technology? And what's been some challenges that you've experienced along the way, and how did you overcome them?
So we have definitely come through some challenges. I'll say We work for state government, so the state government is not in a position to be at, the latest and greatest of every and anything. We are actually right now in the midst, we actually have 40-year-old COBOL systems. So we are actually in the midst now of upgrading our systems into the new platform, which is MDP, and which is into the AWS cloud. And so we're going from server-based to cloud-based technology, which definitely for us is a huge difference. With our 40-year-old green screens, right, it goes from having to make a function for 20 jumps or 20 different screens you got to go through to do it. And, it's bringing it down to like 5 or 6. So it's kind of like streamlining what the user have to do, how long it's going to have to take, the efficiency. So it has definitely proven to be a definite benefit for the agency. So we have already gone live with our new chat worker system, which replaced MD Chessie. So I'm going to say it's about half deployed. There are 23 counties plus Baltimore City in the state of Maryland. We're about, I want to say about maybe halfway there of having it deployed. It'll be completely deployed statewide by fall. And the next is our eligibility system, which is the 40-year-old COBOL system, which is scheduled to be deployed around spring, fully deployed around spring of next year. So we're super duper excited about the new technology. The users are excited. There's still a lot of other different things as well. We're upgrading our child support system, and as well as our long-term care system, which is already implemented. So there's been a lot of changes, And you mentioned too about the MDM and the different policies we're working there, because we didn't always have a mobile device plan per se, as far as it relates to using AirWatch and things of that nature. But we do now, and we were able to connect the different devices and our iPads and our iPhones, and trying to stay connected as much as possible, especially right now during the pandemic. So the iPads and the phones and the laptops have definitely become the way to go now, as opposed to using desktops. And we have come into a point of users not thinking, the agency, right? Not thinking that we could actually be 100% teleworking. And the fact that we essentially were. There was a time where we needed, of course, laptops, and there's 7,000 users. That's a lot of laptops to make sure that everybody had one. Everybody, of course, didn't have one before, so we had to procure and actually get them in the hands of the users. And as well as the iPads, remote desktops, and remote access. So it's been a lot. Even within the last 3 or 4 months in upgrading technology as well.
Listen, kudos go to you. I do remember MD Chessie working a little bit on that back in the day. And I don't know if you remember Mr. Joseph, but he's a neighbor of mine. He retired. He was there about 30 years, Mr. Joseph. He was the MD Chessie person. But I want to move over to one of our major topics we talk about. I told you I would guide you through it. The show has 4 pillars: empowerment, inspiration, leadership, and entrepreneurship. And I would like to start off with leadership. In your humble opinion, what do you feel, because you are, what makes a good leader?
Listening, being able to communicate, being able to communicate in different factors. There's the writing and the face-to-face and nowadays all the whole teleworking and Zoom and FaceTime. And it's also understanding your employees. So as of having so many different state employees to even contractors, and having 300 or 400 people, there are 300 or 400 different personalities. There's 300 or 400 different types of people that you really have to know and understand to kind of even know where and how to place people. So, and depending upon, understanding their strengths, understanding their weaknesses, and so it can better place them in a position that they can soar. So It's leadership. I will say I love it, actually. I love it that staff can come to me. You know, you hear about a lot of different things, and I've been around for a long time. I've been at the agency for 20 years, but I've worked very closely with a lot of my staff for a lot of that time frame. And so we have developed a family. We have developed this. Sometimes we're around each other more than we are with our family at home. So I just take it and enjoy. I have an awesome team. I even a team that works for me and the team that I work for, and my peers and coworkers, I DHS, especially now, even during the pandemic, you get to see. I guess like we communicate more now than we even did when we were in the office every day. And this is with my management as well as the people that report to me. So, and even leadership from above, from the agency, making sure that everyone understands what's going on. And, you know, this was a scary time, and things happening and changes occurring all the time. And it's like things changing every day. And so having that level of communication with the staff, knowing that they could come to you if there was an issue, and the same as my DHS management, and I feel that I can go to them.
Well, I got to tell you, wonderful job you've been doing over there. I've been following you, and even when I see you come out to the events and all the support that you give us, all the support that you've given me and my company over the years is greatly appreciated. So let's switch gears a little bit. We talked a lot about your professional career, and you've just matriculated on up as a young person, you know, in your 30s as a CIO, and I'm so proud of you. Now you have branched off. We went on tour together. We went to Chicago, we went to Atlanta, and I noticed you were coming out of your comfort zone. You know, speaking engagements. You always was working in the church, doing outreach, always doing some powerful things. But then I started, we were in Newark, you were honoree, then you went from an honoree to being a speaker in Chicago to hosting in Atlanta. Now you are collaborating on book writings. So what's going on with you these days? Meaning, are you able to talk a little bit about your book collaboration? I know sometimes you can't really give much away, but how did you shift a little bit from information technology CIO, take that hat off, but always got it on 24/7, but find the time to becoming this entrepreneur, public speaker, and now a published author?
Well, Larry, I have to say that I owe a lot of that getting out of my comfort zone to you.
Oh,
okay. As of you stated in our the award that I received in Delaware, and you hosting and your events, speaking at your events, it was definitely an eye opener for me, and it helped me get out of that cocoon that I was in. And it was truly so. You have definitely been a blessing to allow me to be able to do that. And once I was able to do that, I'm like, okay, now I can take this a little further. And once I was asked to be a part of the governor's, Governor Hogan had an initiative about increasing awareness and increasing opportunities for African American and women in technology, and that just came right kind of like on the cusp of working with you. So and that was I guess another way that kind of got me in the door with that, and we had to provide recommendations and all for him for how to do certain things, and that just kind of even started the ball rolling. So it was just like one thing, it was just God led of different things that was just lining up that allowed me to speak more, to be out there more. Started going to different conferences and speaking at conferences and speaking on panels, and it's really encouraging young ladies as well as men and youth about technology, and realizing that where we are today and how technology is just everywhere and how innovative and all that we can be. of encouraging people to at least consider the technology field. And of all of the jobs, I think in 2021, there are millions of jobs, and we can get the number right off my hand, that's going to be available. And why not having our young people to be equipped to be able to pursue those jobs? So I actually did have an event last year, wanted to have one this year, but COVID wouldn't allow me. But I had an event last year that was based on exposure and awareness. So exposing and making the technology careers and opportunities available for our young folk. Understanding that IT is so many different flavors. When you think of IT, some people just think of it as just working on your phone. Some people think of it as just as programming and you sit behind a computer all day, but there's just so many different facets of technology. And I wanted to kind of get it out there for the kids to see. So it was coding, of course, as well as project management, how to build a PC. Girls Who Code came and they were having a demonstration. There were several different organizations that came and that have the same goal. They have the same goal of trying to encourage and bring awareness to the different technology careers for our youth. So, and being an advocate for it has just been a blessing and opening up so many different areas. And I know that even from starting as a junior network engineer to moving my way up now and as CIO, and now been CIO now for the last 8 or 9 years, and knowing that, there's what's the next move, right? So let's start thinking outside the box of the different things that we need to be doing for that next move. And so when I saw the opportunity about collaborating with Dr. Tashika on the Women of Virtue book collaboration, that I jumped on it. I was definitely very, very interested in participating and really having a chapter to share my story. So, and I find that was also something that I didn't do very often, was share my story. And I've been doing that a lot often as well, right? Because that can help someone. Telling where you've been and what you've done and how God got you through can definitely help somebody else. So those are my speaking engagements, of course, now have kind of decreased a little, and being that we've been so busy at the state with the pandemic. So now still planning a wedding for August. Things have gotten very busy for me where I haven't been able to have the speaking engagements a lot lately. So I definitely thank you for the opportunity to come on tonight and be a part of your program. I appreciate it.
Well, absolutely. We've blessed each other, and it's, I like to say a term is very popular, but it's like just being a blessing to others. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been able to do that and talk about it. I just got 2 more questions for you before we round the show out. We are in a COVID-19 pandemic. We've got the riots going on. For someone that wanted to start a business, write a book, but they're just kind of stuck right now, Kenyatta, to a point where they're ready to give up. They were struggling before the pandemic, and then when the pandemic hit, it just kind of pushed them further back. What encouraging advice or words could you give that person that's saying, I want to go start a business, I want speaking engagements, I want to write a book? What encouraging advice could you give our listening audience on pushing through to make their dreams and follow their dreams and make them come into fruition?
Wow, so that just really kind of hit home a lot for me, because even the first bit of advice I have is please don't give up. Don't give up in whatever that you have in your heart and desire to do. Then to please move forward with it. But I wanted to share that it really hit home for me, because even when COVID started, I was a little I'll say stressed because of all the different things that I knew of the job at DHS, of making sure that all my caseworkers and social workers were actually able to telework. So that was a little challenging, and it took too long for me anyway to be able to make that happen. But once I started really thinking about the time frame that I have at home and the different things that I was doing, is of all the other things outside of DHS that I could have been doing, that I could have been and should have been doing that I wasn't doing. And I started really thinking about it. Me and fiance was thinking about, you know, what we see each other more than we ever have. We're at home more. So it's what can we do? What is that accomplishment, those goals that we wanted to achieve during this COVID pandemic? And so we actually started sitting down and started thinking about some of the things that we wanted to do. And one that we've always talked about was writing a book. And so when this collaboration came up, it was like the perfect opportunity. So, but it was one of those, what have I been really thinking about? What have I really been striving for that you now have the time to do? Right? We had the time to focus on things, and on family, on work, on your goals and your career, the things that you wanted to move on moving forward. So we now had a little more time to focus on that. And so, but I know that the pandemic, especially depending upon how affected each individual, affected some people differently, and some families it really affected, and depending on that level of where you could go or what you could do. I'm a member of so many different groups and different things around social media that I try to stay engaged as much as possible, try to network and still go through. And I see so many testimonies of people that actually started that business, the people that actually finished that book that they've been writing for the last 10 years, the people that actually rekindled their connections at home, their family, their children and husbands at home. So there's that way of just not, first of all, of having that goal and seeing what you can do right now to try to achieve it. I know it gets a little, I'm gonna tell you, being at home for me, at first, it was rough. It was really rough to be home. And I guess it was probably more so because I couldn't leave. It was like the control was gone. It was like mostly you couldn't leave. But it's now in that I now can use this time to focus on other things. Once you really put your mind to it, there's not even a whole lot of encouragement you actually need. Once you really put your mind to it, it's really of finding the resources to try to help you. And God will bring the right people in your life to try to step you along for whichever way you need to go.
Amen.
So it's a whole lot of prayer in that needs to happen to understand what that purpose is, to understand what route you need to take, and understand of who you need in your corner to help you do that.
Well, look, I completely agree with you. I finished my last 2 books during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I even edited a little bit. The second book you bought, Operating in Excellence, I was not quite finished with that. I had to edit it. And so I added a little bit of what I was feeling towards, during the pandemic. Because you're right, we were all, none of us saw this coming, and we didn't know what to do. And we didn't know we had to wear masks, and now it's mandatory. And it was a shift. But I got to tell you, I gained a few pounds, but I got an opportunity to spend some quality time with my wife and children that I would have never had.
Yeah.
And so, again, you're right. When you put your mind to it, you can always complete those tasks, and great advice on not giving up. Last question before we get you out of here. For those who may want to contact you, Kenyatta Powers, for speaking engagements, IT tips, they might need a job, or just to book you for a speaking engagement. What is your contact information, Kenyatta Powers?
Contact information on Facebook. I do not have a website at this point in time. At Facebook, it is Kenyatta G Powers, as well as Twitter is Kenyatta G Powers. My email address is kenyatta.powers and the number 2 at gmail.com. So that would be the best thing. I'm also on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn at Kenyatta G Powers as well. So those are my social media handles as well as the best way to contact me at this point.
Absolutely. Listen, if you need that website, give me a call. We'll take good care of you.
Yeah,
Oh,
ma'am, that's a coming. That's a coming.
absolutely. Well, look, Kenyatta, I want to thank you so much for blessing our listening audience. For being on the show, sharing everything. We definitely got to have you back. Once again, I really am so proud of you and all of your accomplishments and how you continue to be a blessing to me, others. And I know the collaboration book with Dr. Green is going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get my copy of your book so you can sign it for me. And
Absolutely.
absolutely. And so keep shining, my sister. I always see you at the top doing great things. And if nobody can get anything out of this interview, is that I just love supporting you and I really appreciate you supporting me. Amen.
Absolutely.
All right. To God be the glory. Thank you, everybody, for joining the show tonight. Our special VIP guest tonight has been Kenyatta G. Powers, Chief Information Officer for the state of Maryland. I believe it's I used to say back in the day, Department of Human Services, but it's
That's
changed, right?
it. That's
Okay,
Department of Human Services. That's the new name.
cool. I got it right, everybody. So look, tune in this week, Wednesday and Thursday. We'll tell you who our special VIP guests are. And Kenyatta, thank you so much. Have a great evening, my sister.
Thanks, you too.
God bless you.
Bye.